must be completely bonkers. Hello there everyone and welcome back to my channel. As you may have noticed, this is an announcement video because I am going to be competing in National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo, for the 6th year in a row. In this video, which is going to be the first video for Preptober, I'm going to be chatting to you guys about my history with National Novel Writing Month and also announcing the project that I will be working on this year. So for those of you who don't know, National Novel Writing Month is when you attempt to write 50,000 words, which is the equivalent of, say, the first book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, and you write all that in 30 days. In November. It's crazy, right? So I've competed every single year since 2012 when I stumbled across the idea when I was looking at writers groups in my area. I was in my second/final year of my film and television production course at college when I decided that I was going to compete. I was writing a historical romance novel set in the Regency period called Bound by the Heart. I managed to write 15,000 words of that, strangely, even though it was terrible from start to finish. I essentially had burned myself out because I was applying for university, I was struggling with undiagnosed ADHD, I was moved out of foster care and put into a shared lives placement that wasn't going well. I was struggling with a bad relationship and just all these things. By adding NaNoWriMo on top of it, it completely failed miserably. I then attempted it again in 2013. Got it in front of me actually. So the novel that I wrote in 2013 was the complete opposite of the novel that I'd written the year before. I decided to go into a more mainstream/YA kind of novel, and I called it No Day But Today. I was very much in my Allen Ginsberg phase at this point. The title, as you may have noticed, is pinched from a song from the musical Rent, which I was obsessed with at the time. And it's essentially about this guy who's Asperger's, he's an absolute nerd, and he basically is trying to get with a girl who is essentially the stereotypical manic pixie dream girl, which I feel completely guilty about. And I managed to write 15,000 words of that one as well, so that went pretty well actually, by my standards. Even though I was juggling my first year of university, I was at this point still toying over whether to break up with my fiance or not. I didn't break up with him until the summer of that year. Spoilers. Yeah, so I was dealing with all this stuff and trying to do everything was kind of not working for me, so I did not win. So I attempted again in 2014. Around this time I had been hit by a car and broken my leg, so I was in quite a lot of pain. I'd started my second year of university and I was trying to also deal with some family stuff as well. The novel that I decided to write was called Alfie's War. It was an idea that I'd had initially whilst I was in secondary school, but I felt now would be the good time to write it. It's essentially the diary of a boy soldier from the First World War. The First World War is still one of my favourite time periods to research in history. I just find it really, really interesting. And yeah, I failed that year as well. It was one of my worst years because I only wrote 1,046 words before completely giving up. We then go to the first attempt at third year, which was the November of 2015. I was in such a bad place. I was going through a breakup with my then best friend. My friendship groups were all crumbling as a result. I was working really hard, and I was attempting to catch up with second year work as well as attempting a very, very full-on third year. So Aurelia, which was the working title for the novel I was writing for my dissertation equivalent module, Where Whores Go to Die, I only actually wrote during the month of November 384 words, which is the lowest word count of NaNoWriMo I've ever had, which shows you just how poor a place I was in, because I'm so passionate about Nano. I usually try to write at least 5,000 words. So you could tell that my mental health was really taking a dip at that point. Now, Where Whores Go to Die was a historical novel again, but it wasn't romantic. It was inspired by the life of the courtesan poet Veronica Franco from the 16th century. And it was essentially about this girl, Aurelia, who was, in effect, she became a courtesan and her world just crumbled and was completely destroyed by the sordid world that Venice was at that time. So we now return to last year's NaNoWriMo. So this was the first year I actually rebelled. I wrote a non-fiction novel instead of a fiction one because I was studying a module on my course which was all about writing creative non-fiction. So I wanted to basically give myself a bit of a head start to my other classmates, and I was just furiously writing, and it's called A Dog's Life, and is essentially about my dog, who you've met on this channel quite a few times. I was writing about like how I came to know her and all the sort of the crazy things that happened in our lives leading up to that point. And it was incredibly fun to write, and I did really get passionate about it, and it was one of the most words I've ever written at 10,548 words. It was probably one of my much better years. That now brings us to 2017 and my current attempt. I've been thinking about it for quite a while, because I've managed to egg one of my choir friends into competing with me, and I believe she's actually writing a fiction novel, whilst I've decided that once again I am going to rebel. I'm going to be writing another creative non-fiction piece. This time it's going to be more about the themes that you see here on this channel, which is basically me trying to adult and do the adulting and completely failing. It's essentially going to be an autobiography, but not. Think in the style of Miranda Hart's Is It Just Me? And you're kind of halfway there with how not to adult is going to be like. So I haven't really started the planning process yet, but I will be starting that. In fact, today I'm going to be starting that research process and that planning process, which is essentially just me planning out the points, like the chapter points that I'm going to have, and basically giving myself a schedule on how I'm going to hit that 50k, because I really, really want to win this year, because now I don't have anything academic to distract me, unlike the past 6 years. All I'm really doing is part-time work, so I should be able to spend a lot more time writing, even if I'm just writing on my lunch breaks as much as I can. I'm also going to be attempting to go to more write-ins or meetups with other Rhymos in the Bristol area. So if you're in the Bristol area and you're attempting National Novel Writing Month this year, hit me up! It'll be absolutely great to hang out with you and chat with you. So if you're competing in National Novel Writing Month this year, let me know. I will put my username in the description below, so if you want to be my writing buddy this year, then hit me up. Are you going to be writing fiction, or are you going to be rebelling this year? Have you ever won NaNoWriMo? Do you have any cool tips on how to survive the month? Any really good ones I will use in one of my Preptober videos for the rest of the month. And yeah, follow me on social media. I now have a Snapchat as well, which is really cool, and I'm playing with that a lot more. You can also find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Tumblr. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Bye!